Hi, this is Larry Hatch for cultivar.org, and today's topic is the hottest new and rare Peperomia. And if you want to kind of cut to the chase, you can go to our site, www.cultivar.org, and click on the Peperomia button. You'll find the largest, most complete encyclopedia of Peperomia cultivars, that is the varieties that you will ever find anywhere. So this is going to be just like a summary of what we've got that's kind of new and cool. And without further ado, God, I hate that phrase. Sorry. This is one of the newest cultivars that we heard about recently. It's called Burbella, Burbella, and supposedly a caparata, but it doesn't look like it to me. It's got some other influences in it. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a caparata at all. Because half the stuff under that species is not from that species. But it's got a beautiful texture and lots of silver with those dark forest veins to contrast to the tertiary level. It's a really great plant, and it's kind of dwarfed too. Probably some of you know about this next one. It is a caparata as far as we know, and it's called Harmony's Great Pumpkin. It's a special plant with a very unique color. It comes from Harmony's Foliage Company in Florida, who's created a few plants we're going to talk about today. They grow so many that I'm not surprised they have a lot of sports that they find, and kudos to them that they actually propagate them. This plant is still expensive. You're going to pay $30 to $50 right now, and this is June 2022 as I write this. I've seen some a little cheaper, but they're like tiny little things with 2 leaves. I'm not going to trust that through the mail. Our next cultivar is called Marbled Pink Lady. It's a highly variegated form of Pink Lady. And those of you who've grown Pink Lady knows that it's about half dark drab, almost an olive green, and the other half are very dark, dusky shades of pink. They can be a little brighter in sun. But this one, Marbled Pink Lady, is mostly white with green spots and big, almost hot pink, candy pink certainly, veins. And in the true form is a lot different than Pink Lady. So it's apparently a chimeral form, which get a lot of in Peperomia. This next one is a Peperomia argyria, or so-called watermelon plant, in a very bold yellow mottled form. It is not Diamond Nebula or Harmony's Gold Dust Woman. Harmony's Gold Dust Woman has a very fine haze of gold, and Diamond Nebula has a very fine haze of silver to white. This is a much bolder, what we call a sectored chimera, as opposed to a fine maculation or spotting. This thing doesn't have a name, but it probably should get one. There are a lot of variegated sports showing up. This is a form of, Rio Verde? My names are getting all messed up in my head. Rana Verde, Peperomia Rana Verde. And this is a variegated form of it. We just call it Peperomia Rana Verde variegated. Probably should have its own name. The problem with appending the word variegated to a sport is that somebody else is going to have a variegated one, another person is going to have a variegated one, a fourth person is going to have a variegated one, and maybe yours is the best and theirs is kind of crappy and sells for $349 on somewhere. That's maybe or eBay, and it's not as good as yours. So if you call it such and such variegated, it's going to get confused with theirs. So these all should have distinct vernacular names if they're being propagated and stabilized. Don't get your stuff mixed up with somebody else. Give it a unique, distinct name. If you want to use an unregistered trademark, you can do that as well. This next one is simply fantastic. It's a cultivar sport of Peperomia rugosa called Aussie Gold. And look at that sucker. It's got kind of a burnished gold at first, which becomes more of a lime chartreuse, but it's a somber shade. But look at those contrasting red veins down to the tertiary or quaternary level. Well, maybe more secondary level, let's say. And look at the contrast between those veins and that burnished gold, dark lime color. Wow, that's some freaking good stuff, I'll tell you. And by the way, I haven't seen it in the United States. I've only seen it for mail order. This next one comes from our own colorbar.org trials. It's called Fuzzy Mystery. It's certainly going to be a species. Nobody's named it as far as we know. If anybody who's named it, let us know. It's got these big, dark, almost watermelon type leaves that are in a medium green with very dark veins. They're slightly sunken. The thing that's very distinct about it is the petioles are red and fuzzy. It's very fuzzy, hairy. The leaves are slightly hairy when they first come out, but this thing is just freaky. I mean, it's not so much pretty as it is different, and if you want a diverse Peperomia collection, this is one to get. Again, you're going to probably pay $30, $40, $50 for one, but again, it's something a little different. This next one here is called Nepali Knights. It's a cross between something and something. Nobody really knows for sure because nobody's saying. I like it because it's got a very narrow blade and lots of silver. The contrasting dark veins don't branch out quite as much. The secondary veins are very short and stubby, but it's got very good contrast and kind of a dusky red back on it. I like it a lot. It's a plant I think we're going to probably see more of. This next one is a sport, Peppermint Metallica, particularly the narrow-leaved clone called Mini Metal. The narrow-leaved one is called Mini Metal. The one with a wider leaf, the ovate leaf with a big silver center, that's called Colombiana. And this is a variegated sport of Mini Metal called Harmony's High Voltage. Again, from Harmony's Foliage Nursery of Florida. It's selling for maybe $40-some right now, but presumably that'll come down. I know a lot of you collect caparatas, and there's quite a few of them out there. There's some really nice red ones, like Red Luna. This is one called Brasilia, which I've not seen too much of. And I think the advantage of it is that it's got a lot of amber, olive tones in the leaves when they age. So there's a bunch of caparatas with red foliage. You can see them in cultivar.org's encyclopedia. But this one has some kind of ambery olive tones as the leaves fade, and I think that's pretty attractive in this case. The next one we have here is from our cultivar.org trials. It's not new, but it is rare for a lot of people. It's Peperomia Maradona Immaculata. Some people call it Maradona, the Green Valley. It's got a tiny leaf with lots of texture, but this is a variegated form of it with a very fine light green and cream colored chimera, kind of hazy overlaying it. It's a great plant. There seems to be different clonal phases of it. One I had in the past had variegation all the way to the margins. This one tends to have some leaves with green margins, as you can see here, and I've seen others that have more of a creamy margin. So it looks like the chimera has slipped a little bit in Immaculata, and you'll get different phases of it, either variegated to the edge, green at the edge, or cream at the edge, or something in between. But they seem to be, the chimera is sort of sorting out. This next plant is a species, but it's still rare in the trade. It's called Pepperoni and Turboensis, and some people just call it turbo, but it's not a cultivar. It is actually a species, and this is probably an improved form of it. It should have a name. The thing that's great about this, besides that big watermelon type leaf like Argyria, it's got a red back. It's very dusky looking, and it's highly vinous. In a hanging basket or put it on a pole, it'll climb like a vine. Not all peperomias do that, so this is one you can make a basket out of with ease. Our next plant is a variegated sport of peppermill, and peppermill is a very pretty little thing with almost round leaves. And this has a pink to cream chimera on it. Again, it deserves a distinct name, but for now we're calling it peppermill variegated. This is one we found in a trade a few years ago, about 3 years ago. It's a Peperomia scandens, but it's got a frosty white to silver covering on the leaf. It's a chimera. And we worked together. We couldn't find out who originated it. Nobody seems to know, but a number of growers have it. And the silver haze on it, which is what we called it, is partial on some leaves. Others have just a little bit of the haze and more of a normal green leaf. Some, like one you see here, has a haze just in the middle. But it's a very pretty plant. It's quite subtle. But if you put it with a green species, it's very distinct. And we've called it silver haze for lack of a better name, not knowing who originated it. There's a lot of these little gray-silver dwarves that are out there now. And this is one called Greyhound. It's got a very pebbly, rugose texture. It's more gray than silver, actually. And it's a nice little miniature plant. I have one on order, which I'm going to put in a terrarium. I hope it's not too big for that. The next one is one of the marginal forms of Caparata. And somebody sent me this picture and I said, "What the heck is this? We don't have a name for it." Well, I did some digging, and there's a U.S. patent application for a white margin form of Caparata called Avenel. And if you go to the cultivar.org file, you'll see the patent picture. Looks exactly the same. It's a pristine white to maybe ivory, off-white margin, but it's very bright, and the centers are very dark. Form of Caparata, and it's probably the patented Avenel, although somebody else could have found it. But it looks so close to the patented plant, which for some reason I've never seen in the trade under the name Avenel. But hey, whatever. Our next one, some of you will recognize this and have it. It's a Peperomia Caparata gone wild. It's Harmony's Midnight. Help me here. Midnight Wave, and it's an undulate or wavy version of Caparata. And because it's so wavy, the pale whitish undersides show, and that almost looks like a margin. The new growth is kind of a dusky, almost a purple, let's call it violet, kind of a violet green, and then it matures to a bright green, but you almost get a bicolored violet green effect with the backs of the leaves folded over, almost kind of like a three-cornered hat or a five-cornered hat. And this is definitely concave, meaning that it's cupped upward as opposed to downward. Really great mutation, but probably only for the serious, very serious collector. Our next one is another Caparata that some of you will probably recognize. It's from stevesleaves.com, and they have called it Steve's Leaves Chameleon. It's still got a bit of silver on it, but it overlays with a very fine yellow to yellow-green, sometimes chartreuse chimera. It tends to be concentrated at the base of the leaf, but a little bit at the apex. But at the base of the leaf, the basal lobes tend to be the most variegated. And where the chimera overlaps the veins, those tend to be very red. Again, it's probably a collector's item only. And I've noticed that Steve's Leaves is selling a reverted form of it, which seems to lack the chimera and is more of a all-green leaf. So you want to maybe check that one out. And again, please visit us at www.cultivar.org. And I'm at the www, it should be obvious. But I know on some people's browsers, if they just put in cultivar.org, the browser doesn't find our website. You have to have the www. I don't know why that is. We have that problem on Reddit, so you got to put the full HTTP address in there. Otherwise, the link doesn't work. That has nothing to do with our website or the way it's set up. It's just, I don't know, some links from some websites like Reddit and elsewhere do not add the www like they should. That's nothing we can do anything about at this point. But anyway, just hit us up and you'll find lots of encyclopedias on rare houseplants and all their best varieties. Whether you like syngoniums or pileas or spathiphyllums or philodendrons, wow, you're going to get a feast, and it's all 100% free. No sign up, no credit card, no nothing. Just go there. We're trying to communicate and standardize nomenclature of houseplants, and with your help and feedback, and we do need this. We're not experts on everything. We can only buy and grow so many plants, so we need your feedback on these and other plants. And cultivar.org's, we call it Hatch's Interior Plants, is the place to do that. If you like woody plants or perennials, we have some encyclopedias. We have to charge for those because our research costs are in the tens of thousands of dollars a year, and we can't give that away. But we do give away the houseplant stuff, and that's in the public interest to standardize houseplant nomenclature. And whatever you know that we don't know, please share with the worldwide audience. And again, we get hits from 123 different countries around the world. I mean, Cuba, Iran, probably Russia, literally everywhere. Australia to Alaska, everywhere. So if you have some knowledge and can document it, maybe you have a picture you want to share. And if you're selling something, we'll put a link to your website to give you a little business in exchange for you sharing that picture with us. It must be regularly available, not some kind of one-time auction. So we'll help you out if you help us out. And again, thanks for your time.